So what we're covering in today's video, if you don't know who I am, my name is Matt Forsyth. I'm the owner of Valente Media. And basically what I'm going to be going through in today's video is why cold email isn't actually dead and why instead lazy infrastructure is. Just a little reality check for anyone who's going through these issues right now, how you can get past them, how to navigate them properly, and what you can do to bulletproof your infrastructure setup. This is what actually happened, who got hit, and how the smart operators actually adapted to maintain their performance. So without further ado, let's just hop right into it. So this is the annual sky is falling cycle. So first, there's a platform update where Google or Microsoft or whatever the ESP might be has a new update, they enforce new mechanisms, and they become active. What then happens, number two, is the performance drop. So if you're an agency owner or you are just running cold email outbound, you see an immediate impact. I say immediate, it could be a few days, could be a week, could be a couple weeks, but usually there's signs that performance is dropping. So if you're doing inbox placement tests, a higher percent is going into spam, you might be getting more bounce rates, your email inboxes might be disconnecting, there's always signs. Next, there's mass panic, where across all the platforms, LinkedIn, Reddit, Twitter, X, you see everywhere that cold email is dead, and that narrative begins to spread where everyone's freaking out and no one knows what to do. And it's a super common thing. This happens every single year. And finally, number four is when the market rebounds. So the people who were actually diligent, the smart operators who adapted, they survive and they thrive. And in 2025, at the tail end of 2025, that was the Google crackdown. It was no exception to this rule. Most people, like cold email wasn't targeted in particular. It was just lazy infrastructure was. Of course, Google was trying to crack down on people that are scamming, or even just reaching to people. But in reality, it didn't so much affect you if you had solid, concrete infrastructure. And that's what we're gonna get into. So what did Google actually crack down? Well, there's behavioral patterns. That was a very popular one. So automated activity detection, sending velocity anomalies, stuff like that. So if you're blasting through your volume, you weren't doing proper warm-up, you weren't doing new domain, stuff like that, that would be something that would get flagged. Number two, DNS and authentication. So making sure that your records are intact for DNS. So SPF, DKIM, DMARC, all the validation and domain reputation scoring. This is what Google, Microsoft, all these ESPs, they use this as a signal for your reputation, if it's safe to send to other people. Finally is infrastructure fingerprints, so IP patterns, email sending platform identification, and setup configuration. This could be the actual sequencer that you're using, so Instantly, Smart Lead, Email Bison, just to name a few. And AI-driven detection. So obviously as AI becomes more prevalent in today's society, they are using machine learning models to identify spam characteristics. So that affects copy that you're doing. So you really gotta watch out for that stuff. Make sure there's no spam words. Make sure that you randomize everything using spin tags. So all of this to say, primarily affected were the spray and pray operators who relied on shortcuts rather than sustainable long-term solutions. And at this point, you're probably wondering, like, what are some common patterns that are actually getting accounts burned so you can look out for it for yourself? And it's super simple. So single provider dependency, that's going to put you at a massive risk. So what does that actually mean? Well, if you have an over-reliance on Google inboxes only, with no diversification strategy, that could be the providers that you use, the ESPs that you use, that's a crutch, and a crutch can be pulled out from underneath of you. Poor message quality, this is one of the most common ones where people are effectively doing spam. They're long emails, it's just straight pitching the person in the very first email, or sending many different emails to them all in short times, like periods. No weak spin tags or no spin tags at all, minimal variation, and just generic messaging patterns. So that is a big one. Most people do that. Targeting failure. So low quality lead lists, poor ICP definition, and inadequate verification. So what I mean by that is making sure that when you are creating your lead lists, ensure that they fit your ICP, because that matters when it goes side by side with your actual email copy. And actually just making sure that you double qualify this in softwares like Clay. So you can use AI to double check this and ensure that they align with your ICP. It'll scrape directly from their website. And finally is a disposable mindset. This one hurts a lot of people because they just treat these inboxes as throwaway assets instead of actual valuable infrastructure. You got to treat these things pretty good. Make sure you take care of them. Make sure they're warming up properly. Make sure you give them enough time. All this important stuff. So, although for a lot of people this did work temporarily, and this worked in 2024, 2023, but in 2025, end of 2025, and most importantly 2026, you have to keep this tight or else your email outbound is not going to work. If you think about it like a pyramid, the foundation is email deliverability. Without that, the lead list and your email copy aren't going to matter. Same with your lead list. If your lead list is junk, your copy isn't going to matter. And finally, at the very top of that pyramid is the actual email copy. I gotta be honest, with a super simple structure and just a strong offer, any copy can work. As long as the infrastructure is tight and your ICP list is tight. So when Google tightened this enforcement, cards collapsed overnight. This is what it seemed like to many people. They had a false sense of security. They thought everything was going well. In reality, that was not the case at all. So, this is our real experience. This is actually a GIF of me. But for one of our clients, the whole infrastructure completely burned down. I was fortunate enough where this didn't happen for all of our clients. But this wasn't theoretical. This actually happened to us. And for one of our clients, probably 80-90% of their whole infrastructure got burned. And this was not pleasant whatsoever. Taught us very invaluable lessons. Most importantly though, we really bulletproofed our infrastructure after this. Everything got bulletproofed and it forced us into making our processes and our systems even better. This is a quote from James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, but you don't rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the levels of your systems. So again, if you have strong systems in place, you're basically good to a lesser degree. So, moral of the story here is if your entire outbound system depends on one provider or one platform, you're dangerously exposed. So, the wake-up call for us was single point of failure became obvious when that enforcement hit. Client risk is entire campaigns were threatened by this infrastructure concentration. And then it was the system overhaul for us, where we took immediate strategic changes to prevent future exposure. And I remember when this happened, I think it was a Friday or over a weekend during the summer of 2025. And so I wanted to take it easy that weekend. And all of a sudden, everything hit the fan. And it's like, all right, so this is life now. So we have to fix this, get things under control, make sure our clients are informed and in the know-how for all of this and everything going on. So it's a fun situation for sure. So every time an email apocalypse happens, the pattern repeats annually, sometimes even twice a year. So this is something that literally happens every single year, and I'm just telling you right now, I'm going to predict it. 2026, this will happen again in 2026, where everything hits the fan and people are going to freak out, and then there's going to be an exodus phase where agencies are pivoting and abandoning outbounds completely, and all of this is going to happen. But what does this actually mean, and is it FUD? Is it legit? Well, I'll tell you all of this. So, as I mentioned before, the first phase is panic. So, social platforms explode, cold email is dead, everyone switch over. There's going to be so many people trying to sell alternate options. And they'll make a lot of money. And rightfully so. You capitalize on the event, I understand. There's also going to be plenty of email providers that come out at this stage and say, hey, we're the best, we can handle this. And sometimes they can't, so you have to know this. But that leads into the second stage, or the second phase, which is agencies pivot. They start abandoning the outbound and strategies entirely. And that's when that pivot happens. Number 3 is the recovery stage. This is usually 3 to 6 weeks later, I find, where smart operators, they adapt, they upgrade their infrastructure, they create really good systems, their systems improve, and performance actually returns stronger overall. And finally is the growth stage, where the people that did actually survive this, they come out on top, the market stabilizes at much higher quality standards, and the weak players get eliminated. And that sounds terrible, but it's actually a competitive advantage. So if you're watching this video and you're looking to be one of the people that actually survive this type of thing, then you will come out on top and you will be better than before. What this does, and we'll talk about this later, is just creates a higher barrier to entry. So an analogy for this, and for those of you who are older or perhaps have just heard about this, is the financial market crash. Now this was, I think, end of 2008, like 2009, but market absolutely crashed. Everyone was focused on the collapse of the market. Few recognized the inevitable recovery that follows because everyone was filled with emotion and just worried about all of their money disappearing. Fair enough. That being said, historically speaking, markets have always rebounded stronger after the crashes. They have every single time always surpassed the previous highs, and cold outbound is no exception. It's exactly the same way, and each crackdown eliminates the low quality operators, raising the bar for everyone. Realistically, I don't think cold email will ever die. Like, the audience for B2B, they live on email. So it's very difficult. I'd be very surprised if that happens within the next 10 years or so. So, strategic response. How did we actually adapt without losing clients? This is our experience. This is how we handled it. You can do something similar for your own agency or for your own business. But we made 2 strategic changes to our infrastructure. There's no secret hacks. There's no shortcuts. It's just risk mitigation and system upgrades. And we prioritize doing this as quickly as possible with tons of urgency. And this was prioritized over quick wins for us. So 2 main components were inbox and ESP diversification and a sequencer platform upgrade. Excuse me. But we moved from a public infrastructure to a private one. So first change, inbox and ESP diversification strategy. It's pretty simple stuff. This was an old adage. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. So instead of relying solely on Google inboxes, which many people did because they worked reliably, you could send good volume off of them, and they were pretty cheap. So why would you not do this? Well, there was no reason not to do this unless you had really good contingency plans, or if you just knew this was going to happen. And that was not the case for many people. But yeah, we diversified across multiple ESPs and providers. So we're using Google Workspace, Microsoft 365, Azure, as well as private SMTP, which in the cold email industry, many refer to as the Ferrari of inboxes. And finally, we use different providers for this that gave us a mix of automation as well as control. So Premium Inboxes is a done-for-you service. They're super amazing, great team. Their owner, Richard's great guy. Inbox Kit, this one gives you a little more control. It's a little more manual work on your end, but they actually allow you to do Google, M365, or Azure inboxes. It's important to know Premium Inboxes only does Google Workspace inboxes. And finally is actually LeadGenJ's SMTP service, which that's where we get the private SMTPs set up. And they've done super well for us. Like, we've had complaints. They're quick, pretty good customer service, not as good as Premium Inbox or Inbox Kit, but definitely still like super good. Yeah. Actually, important to note, I'll have those in the description. If you guys want to go directly to the websites, we have affiliate links for them. That way it just helps us out. But yeah, what were the main goals of this? Well, risk isolation. So if one provider got hit or one ESP got hit, the entire channel doesn't, that's super important. Number 2 is the campaign continuity. So operations continue running without interruption. And finally is just client protection. So accounts don't lose momentum overnight from a single failure point. So the real impact was like the diversifications directly helped us preserve results, retain our affected clients during this crackdown. And actually, quick, I'll just show you guys straight up while I have it open here. But these are the exact websites for these companies. So as you can see, this is Inbox Kit, super reliable. They give you your own dashboard. You can track domains, mailboxes, see what's blacklisted, see what isn't. They'll even give you stuff on like how stuff is actually performing for inboxes, what the spam rate is, what's landing in inbox, email sent, a bunch of stuff. Definitely something you'd want to look into. Here's premium inboxes. Like I said, primarily Google. They give you a nice little dashboard here so you can track expenses nicely, forecasting, and like I said, they do done for you. And those are the main ones for sure. First, over to the main screen here. But yeah, hopping back in, the second biggest change was the sequencer upgrade to Email Bison. So right in the midst of all of this madness happening, we were with Instantly before, and like nothing against it. They have a super clean UI, they have really cool features, but the biggest thing with us is that they use a public IP address that is shared with everyone. So what that meant for us is like the reputation of our company, and we hold pretty high standards with our email copy, with all this different stuff. But for them, it's shared with people who don't know much about cold email. So that puts us at risk. So basically, we upgraded to Email Bison. So that was the second most major shift, involving upgrading our sequencing platform. And it wasn't so much about features as it was about the infrastructure. So platforms like Instantly are affordable, but your deliverability reputation is shared. When low quality operators blast bad messaging at scale, everyone pays the price through a degraded platform-wide reputation. So the key difference with Email Bison is they were built with deliverability first, design second, and security-focused infrastructure. It was a private, invite-only servers, as well as isolated warm-up pools, no shared public reputation risk. They literally set everything up through your domain. And yeah, it's definitely expensive. But if inbox placement matters to your business, the cost is absolutely justified. Yeah, I forget the exact price. It's like $500 per month, I believe, US. But yeah, like I said, absolutely worth it for the protection of ourselves, our clients' email reputation. It's absolutely something worth investing into. And I'll actually show you what their website's like, as well as what that platform looks like. But let's pull it up here. So this is literally the website, and right on the top, this is absolutely true. Private email sequencer for the top 1%. Some key features are, like I mentioned, and dedicated IPs, automated email sequencing. Of course, you get the standard stuff, split testing, reply follow-up campaigns, multiple sending servers, so you get your dedicated IP pools, or some other features for deliverability. It's also scalable, so if you are an agency, it doesn't per seat, and you get unlimited workspaces, which is very nice. You can store unlimited leads, so you don't constantly have to be deleting old ones. You get dedicated support. Their support team's absolutely insane. And some other things I really liked is their private email warm-up, where it's also on private servers. So it's literally like the highest, probably the best private warm-up pool you'll ever get for your email inboxes. So that's super good. And just to show you guys an actual example, this is what ours looks like. So as you can see, everything's custom. It's through our domain. Super clean software. But yeah, it's and in terms of deliverability, this hasn't given us any single issues, which is absolutely fantastic. And for the long term of deliverability and cold email sending, like that's what I want. That is the Ferrari of sequencers for sure. But getting into things, yeah, so the big takeaway through this, the big is obviously cold outbound is not dead. It's simply matured. So you get a higher barrier to entry. So shortcuts, lazy infrastructure, it's no longer going to work reliably. The market demands quality. There's a smaller margin for error, so sloppy targeting, poor messaging, and weak authentication will get punished far quicker. I won't say immediately, but definitely way quicker. And systems matter more than ever. So a sustainable infrastructure beats tactical hacks every single time. And here's this quote again: you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So build for resilience, diversify your infrastructure, treat your inboxes as valuable assets because they are. And the operators who understand this will continue to thrive in email marketing while others panic for every single form update. So I hope this video provided you guys with some value. I hope that you guys can have some concrete infrastructure for your businesses. And if this did help you, just leave a like, comment, tell me if I missed anything. And as always, guys, I'll be rooting for you. Take care. God bless. Peace.